Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. The boys are really excited about this one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, he's excited. Look at it. It's a Baywatch, Django. You excited about Baywatch? Oh my, this is going to be a fun one. We're going to crack it open and see what we got. So I purchased this thing kind of as part of an estate sale. Not exactly an estate sale, but kind of the old man had passed away, and his wife, his widow, was selling some of his stuff. This thing was sitting in a separated garage, and you see it's kind of rusty. This thing did boot up. That's about all I can say about it. This is not my blanket. There's probably mice all in it. I don't know. I'm going to put it together and kind of see what I got here. I threw the front legs on here. I was thinking, well, I'm missing a button there. And I looked at this one. It's like, wait, that's not the right button. But that button would fit over here. And then so I think I'm missing the start button or the launch button. And this button has been stolen and stuck over here. So I don't know. This is probably the add a player button, I bet. And that button was missing. So somebody, round circle, square hole, something. I don't know. Note to self, beware of primitive hackage on this game. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's working. I'm going to jam it back up in there so I can shut this lid, but I've got to go back. Just stay up there, little buddy, and short out on something that's really important when I turn it on. I'm going to pull that out before I even turn the game on because, that gets up against that little... the yellow with the ground, and something's gonna die. Okay, I got it, the head up, and fortunately the back box was not locked because I don't see a key. There might be one inside, but anyway, it was unlocked. So when I took out the back glass, the little screw to hold that in is missing, so the door flopped open. So I get a little preview here, and it looks, honestly, just first glances, it looks pretty clean. Got some pretty old AA batteries, but I don't see any corrosion. I'll swap that sucker out. And on these, I think it's that chip there, the 62, 64, yeah. It's already socketed, so you put an NVRAM in, like 5 seconds, get rid of those batteries. Easy peasy. Power supply, I need some new caps. I guarantee you, it's like one of these around here that's on most of these Data East ones. This is a Sega. It'd be the one right over here, but I think it might be over here on this one. This one's like rotated around a little bit differently, or it's slightly different than most of them that I'm used to. But I don't see any repairs at all on this thing. This is good for me. I'm happy with that. I'd just as soon have a virginal game as anything else. A lot of dead bulbs, I would say. If they're not dead, they're close. When they get silver like this, if they're still working, they're on their way out, and also they are pulling an extreme amount of current. When on their way out towards death, when they turn silver like that, they get super hot. They're pulling extra current, so it's extra stress on all your wiring harness and everything. I was going to fix this here. I don't know what that is. Well, is that on purpose right there, or does that just get jammed down on there? That's on there, but I think so, because otherwise it wouldn't have power. Because so they've got the red one is soldered on, and this one is, oh my goodness. It was soldered at one point, and now they've got a connector, kinda. But anyway, so yeah, I guess that was probably, if I can get this untangled, probably that black one. Well, obviously at some point there was a connector, and then later that piece was soldered on there, and then somebody else came and that solder broke, and somebody didn't know how to solder, so they they did this. Okay, I'm gonna just put it back for now. Act like we didn't see it. By the way, I am probably going to put in a LCD display on this thing. And by the way, this display is like a super big one. So it'll be super cool. I do want to maybe tape that up because that's, I guess that's probably, well, where's the, okay, there's the, that's maybe just 5 volts coming in there. This, I was gonna say, this thing takes high voltage, but this board's gonna need either 5 volts or 12 volts, I'm not sure. But either way, it's enough to short that right there, and it's not a good day. I may just go ahead and, well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna solder it back the way it was temporarily here. So that'll be a little, I'm gonna solder that wire right back there. Get rid of that jumper, and that way I can at least get going on this. As I remember, that display was working, so I'm gonna do that. That way I can start just tinkering with it and kind of see what's going on. All right, so I got that hacked back to the original hack, the first primary hack, not the secondary hack. I'll fix that later. I don't see anything else like totally scary back there. I'm gonna pick up the playfield. And you know, there's always clues. It's like open up the trunk of an old junky car. You can find all the junk parts and maybe the new parts that never got installed. So before I go in the bottom here, the rubbers are very stretchy and pliable. That one's a little more crusty. Ready to go. The flippers are, wow, that's got like a 10-pound spring on it. I mean, that's weakening your flipper. The spring is so heavy on there. Both of them are super heavy. It's still got the old original rubbers on the bottom side of here. I never put those back per Steve's direction. Steve at the PBR, we discussed this in depth one time, and it's just like, it basically deadens everything. There's no need for them. And so when I rebuild these, I never put that lower rubber on there. No need for it. But I'm just looking around. I mean, a little surface rust on those ramp entrances. That'll polish off. Those things tend to tarnish very quickly. But I mean, even with the fingernail, you can almost wipe that up. But the ramps themselves look pretty decent. It's hard to tell how much is dirt and how much is yellowing. I think these are actually not very yellowed. They look just very dirty. Hopefully so. I won't have to buy new ones. Boy, there's all kinds of dirt and grime. There is some, so this is like brass plated, and I think some of the brass is coming off, or it's got like, can't tell if that's green on the top there, or it's fuzz and everything else. It's nasty. Yeah. Okay, well, that's enough looking at that. There's my hero, David Hasselhoff. Look at him. I was looking at my phone, I couldn't even tell. There's David Hasselhoff there. I don't know who that numbskull is. Well, it's kind of a mess down here. I don't know. Trash. Not even sure what those boards are back there. There's a spare coil here that's wired up. Maybe that's a knocker. I don't know, but again, one of those leads touches ground. So it's to fry something. Fry your solenoid voltage. Missing a tilt bob. Switches, coin door. Oh, there's this signage for the top. Kind of cool. 1-up team totals. Oh, I guess you can play doubles mode, so you can play teams on this game. It's like the Stern reinvented that just recently. What else we got? Oh, that's pretty cool. What's the chances of me finding the nut that goes on the end of that switch there? If I don't find the nut, I might have to get still one off the nuts of one that I've already got that's working, and or swap that switch. And there's this. Sometimes those are like that on games. They have a harness up here that's not used. And it looks like that's the, oh, that's a light. Maybe a button also. Yes, that's a button also, I would say. No, yes, that is a switch. Oh, that goes right there. It's fallen out. So the launch button is not very launchy. Yeah, so this is kind of a mess. When I was there at this lady's house, I was going to make an offer for it. I wanted to see if it would boot up. So I had my truck there. I've got an inverter in the bed, so I just got an extension cord. I plugged it in, turned it on, and it did boot up. I was always, that's kind of scary. Oh, there's the lock washer for that. No, maybe. Is that, seems too big. Yep, way too big. So I don't know. But anyway, could have been dangerous. Well, it was dangerous. Could have been bad. So I think I've got this in a situation where I feel halfway comfortable to plug it in and turn it on. See what happens now. It's been at least 6 months. Warning, do not refuse. Warning, don't stick your hand near that 120 volts AC. Baywatch. Well, the soundboard booted. 4 balls missing. Heck, it kept the memory. It's got 11 credits on it. Is this a 6-player game? Y'all, it's like totally frazzing out. But there were 6 sets of zeros. I wonder. See if it's got any high scores or any real ones. I think all those are fake ones. I say fake, they're the factory ones. But it had credits on the machine. That might have been from 6 months ago when I put them on there. Oh, there's the Sega dude. Well, yeah, see there's the 6 players. I'm wondering. Well, I am tempted to lay this playfield down and throw some balls in there, and I can see right here it says 5 balls amid all the detritus. Let's see what happens. When I lowered the playfield, I heard some balls rolling around, so I just hit the start button, and I think it's starting to boot up. It started making noises. Let me do this. There we go. There's a ball. Now this is not going to do anything because we know that's not hooked up anymore. So, got the throttle in the boat, top lane, shark lane. I don't know how to play this game, but there's the skill shots. And I hear I'm assuming that'd be the GI lights turning on and off, which we have no GI lights. We have, actually, the only lights we have are the flashers. I saw them flash a couple times. We got no controlled lights and no GI lights. Great. We have solenoids and flashers. We got 5 volts. We probably got 12 volts for the sound, and we got the high voltage for the display. We don't have control lights. Push the button. Okay, I'm gonna reach in here and push it. It's a little harder than you think it is. Where is, if I can, oh, there it is. There we go. We have flippage. Oh, that kind of sucked. I think that's part of the fence. And that goes like that, little buddy. Oh yeah, please. We got a couple of points, so it must be scoring a little bit. See what happens when we go in there. Nice shark effect. That switch isn't working, or that solenoid isn't working, I'm not sure. I'd say the solenoid because I heard that sound, so it must know it's in there. I can see you. Okay, so that one doesn't work. And now we're stuck. So, well, I just kicked another ball, and that switch is not really... There we go. I'm just going to manually throw it with my finger because it's a pain to reach down there. That was just what I was trying to do, but I just hit the flipper's not strong enough. Oh, that just goes around. Oh, there's flipper. I think there's only like 5 recordings of flipper sounds ever because they all remind me of the old show Flipper. I think they all use the exact same wave file. Or maybe flippers, maybe dolphins only have like 5 sounds they make. I don't know. Oh, shats it. That's what I was trying to do. Go around the world there. All right, so we kind of know a little bit about it. Most of the solenoids work. Oh, the slingshots don't work either. I'd say most of them work. Oh yeah, it does. Let's just go around and hit some switches. Those are working. Those are working. I can't tell. Yep. Yeah, the switches are mostly working. So it's basically, the lamps are a big problem. The GI and the regular, or the GI and the controlled. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and this power supply needs to be gone through. So I'm going to pull this sucker off there. Before I do, I'm going to just check the voltages on it. I got the minus 12 to 12, the 5 and ground. I bet they're all there. They've got to be for everything we're seeing. I don't know about the minus 5. I think the minus 5 for the soundboard, I believe. But in any case, I'm going to recap that sucker, and that won't do anything for us, but it'll make me feel better. All right, so I got this board out of here. It looks pretty clean. I got this one labeled high voltage. That's the only one that's on the high voltage side. I was thinking maybe I wouldn't even change the high voltage ones, but there's only one, so I probably will. All the leads are pretty bent over. You know, I can't complain too much because I kind of do that too sometimes. It does make it a little harder to get them out. And these, it's basically kind of a Data East board. They've got it's a double-sided board, and it's pretty easy to mess these things up. I've done it. Then you got to go back and fix it. So probably not the board you want to learn how to solder on. They're still a challenge for me, so I'm gonna try to take my time. Basically, I'm gonna heat these things up and try to pry the leads up flat, then suck the solder. First I'll put fresh solder on it, then heat it up, pry them vertical, suck the solder off, and then hopefully I can just pull them out gently without destroying the traces in the meantime. And sometimes I fail at that. So I got all the caps swapped out without incident. This one, I had a little bit of problem. One of the pads, which one is that? That's this one here. I think it was that one there. It was not looking real happy. So what I did was I high watered this thing, and I didn't actually have to solder it from the top, but I thought I might have to. But I can see that the solder flowed through there nicely, so it's good. But I just gave myself that option. And I could just verify. And like these 4, they all have to flow through, but these 4 are all in parallel. So if one of them is not working, I'll never know, because the other 3 will just carry the load. If I find them here on the, that's these 4 right here. So really you could just put, I guess you could just put like a 2,000 or 20,000 UF capacitor across one of those and it'd be pretty much the same. Might have more resistance, I don't know. Not a total expert on those capacitors and ESRs and all that nonsense. They don't ever put ESR ratings on there. ESR is like the internal resistance, and you want it to be low resistance. As these things age, that's a better measure of whether or not a capacitor is good, is that internal resistance. They start aging, and basically they can't let they don't let the electricity in and out of them well enough. It's like a balloon that's not flexible anymore. They'll still take it'll still go in there, but it won't go in and out really easily. Anyway, I checked the fuses, they're all good. I reflowed the header pins, and the header pins themselves, I mean, they look nice. I don't think this game's got a lot of hours, is what I think. That's what I'm thinking. I think it's had a lot of abuse sitting in a wet, damp garage, and maybe some other places over the last 30 years or so. But I'm gonna throw this back in there, and hopefully we at least get back to where we were. All right, so I got the power supply back in there. All the connectors are hooked up. Reach in here, try not to zap myself. See if we smoke anything. Sound is working. I think on this game the soundboard will boot no matter what. Hey, yep, we're booted. And we still don't have any GI lights or controlled lights. Didn't figure we would, but we're right where we were before. So, this baby's probably good now. So, there's a lot of other stuff. I may dig in these 4 rectifiers here. At least I'm pretty sure one of those is going to be the controlled lights. I don't know what to say about the GI lights. I guess I could check them right here. I think that's them coming off that board. I believe so anyway. Okay, that backwards. That's the GI going into the board. So this is a GI going in, and it's hot. I've got 6.5 volts AC. So that's going in. I'm not exactly sure where it comes out. I think that's all the GI. Yeah, that's the GI right there coming out. You know, it's possible every damn bulb in the game is burnt out. I mean, look at this thing. I may swap a few bulbs. Just a few up here, maybe a few down the bottom. You would think that'd be impossible. I'd say it's not impossible. Before I start swapping bulbs, I'm going to go like between the white, yellow, and the white and yellow and the green. There should be a white and green. Yeah, there's white and green. Those are the different sides of the AC. So, and I could just go to the top and the bottom and see I've got 6 volts AC. I'm going to do that right now. So I just did that off camera, and from between the top and the bottom of this connector, I've got 6 volts AC. So it's leaving the board, and I don't think there's much else. I mean, there's fuses on that board, but I checked those fuses, and I checked that they're correct. So it's just wired straight over to the lamps. They should be on. So I'm gonna go grab some bulbs. If this works, this is gonna be a total Carl moment. If you don't know who Carl is, I'll try to remind you. Oh shit. Yeah, Carl, he always figures the first thing first. It's out of gas. Sling blade. Yeah. Every damn bulb in the game is burnt out. Well, at least every one of those is burnt out. I don't see any reason why any of these aren't working. And I mean, I don't see any. Well, no, that's just there's those 2 red things. That's a glare from the display on the flash little flash lenses. These little things up at the top. So yeah, okay. So my GIs are perfect. I just gotta swap all the bulbs. I'm gonna just swap one of them down here. Oh wait, look. A controlled light. I've got one controlled light. So my controlled lights are working. GIs are working. Hell, I'm ready to roll, man. All I need to do is like fix a couple solenoids and a little Novus, and this thing's ready to go out the door. It is, oh my God, it's late. Y'all never got your 2 o'clock. Well, we did have a late lunch. We didn't get back from lunch till 1:30. You don't care? You tell him, Joe. You tell him, Joe. All right. I just got back to take the dogs out. Made a little progress. I even put one down here just to confirm that this lower GI lights are working too. So, yeah. Man, that's good news in that my one lone controlled light. I think that's the only one in the game that's working. I guess I could put it on lamp test, but I guess I don't need to. That's cool. I guess next what I'll do is pull this MPU. Probably not much to actually. Before I do that, I really want to make a map of all the solenoids that are not working so I can double check its corresponding transistor, because I hate pulling this thing 15 times. So if we got a bad transistor, I want to fix it. Anyway, just looking at this sucker. Well, I went ahead and pulled this board out. I broke my own advice. I didn't test everything first. I figured what I'd do is I just do a diode check on all these big transistors. And so not much to, there's only a couple dozen. I'm going to yank this battery. I'm going to take it off. And I'm going to swap that out with NVRAM, and it's already socketed. So that's easy. Reflow the solder and everything. So this whole adventure shouldn't take more than about 10 or 15 minutes, hopefully. All right, I found nothing wrong. I checked all these transistors. Everything looked good. Yanked that out. Swap that chip with the NVRAM. By the way, you can get these. This is one chip that I buy on eBay. And I'm not suggesting you buy anything on eBay, but this is one I did get on eBay. I got them. They're like super cheap. It's a replacement for the 6264. There's the part number. FM 1608-120-PG, and I'm not sure that all of them are good, but the one place where I bought them, I bought a bunch of them, like, I don't know, a quarter a piece or something. They're super cheap. I made sure I tested one in a game here before I definitely put anything on, like, the left shot. I really don't work on any boards unless it's in the game I've got here. So if it's not a good chip, if it's a fake one, I'm going to know right away. Then I bought them twice from the same guy. So when I get them, I check one before I mix them all up, because, yeah, you don't want to have to check them all. Anyway, so I'm going to throw this back in there, and that one VUC not working is, I don't think it's a problem on this board. It could be, but probably not. Got the board back in the game. We'll do a quick smoke test. Shoot, I forget. I risk my life to turn this thing on. I need to fix that first. See if our our one little controlled light's working. Yep, okay. Or at least where we were. Now I heard something go, like lock up almost. I almost thought it was maybe that VUC. I didn't do anything. I reflowed solder, but they didn't really look bad. I don't know. I think I'm going to ignore that for now. Act like I didn't hear that. Probably ought to go ahead and fix this. I was thinking I was going to get a new LED, but this, I'm not going to get a new controller for the board, so I'm pretty certain I'm still going to be using this. Almost positive I am. So yeah, I'll be using this. So I'm gonna have to fix this. I might as well take care of that. I really ought to just go ahead and fix my power switch down there too, because I'm having to get underneath there. There's probably some bare solder joints in there. I could really zap myself pretty good. That's probably what I should do next. So I had plenty of wire here, so I just cut those where I can make sure where they're going. And so I'm going to desolder those. I may end up having to replace that whole header pin, hopefully not. Well, I got those off. I got the vast majority of the solder off. They're not perfect, but on the other hand, I do have try-for-kin connectors on there. I can get it to focus. So they grab it on 3 sides. So I think it'll be good. So that's done. So let me raise the play field and try to take care of this mess. I think I'll unplug it from the wall because it's gonna have AC up to there. That's what you're turning on and off. So that's, some of this is gonna be hot. I get the play field all the way up. First time I've had it all the way up, and then there's all kinds of stuff back down here. Old flipper bats. I see some money. Maybe I'll see the nut for that switch. That nut that goes right on there. Oh, that switch is actually busted. There might be enough to get a nut on there. I don't know. Hope so. So I found a couple dollars, a few tokens. I can use tokens. Wrench for the back, the lock for the head. I found this broken one and this one here. At first I thought it was new, but I can see little around those holes. I can see where the washer's dug in, the lock washer's dug in. So that's not new. But, and I also found this in the bottom, which looks like, you know, it'd be bouncing on that. So I don't know. I looked on the play field here and I don't see one of those anywhere. Of course, if it's missing, I wouldn't see it, but I might see like see a hole where it should be, and I don't see any hole where it should be. But if there's some place where the ball is supposed to kick out and it doesn't, like this buck over here, that one's present. It's not that. Anyway, so those may or may not belong to this game. Usually when you find parts in the game, they're usually to the game. So the switch, the threads are broken on it, and I don't have the nut either. So I've got a couple options. I could just get a new switch, wire it up, and do all that. Or I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to JB weld this thing right down in there. And some of y'all may not like that, but if you think about it, if it's such a bad idea, basically to replace it now is the same effort as to replace it 5, 10, 20 years from now, and it may never need to be replaced. So to yank that out of there, if it's JB weld on this plastic, you can grab this thing, you can break it off. If need be, you can drill through that hole. So it's not that big a deal. It's going to save me quite a bit of trouble here, and 10 or 15 bucks for that switch too. So that's what I'm probably going to do. So when I say JB weld, I'm talking about this quick weld, and I use the quick stuff. It's like sets in 6 minutes. I mean, you got to mix it, you got to put it in place fast because it will harden up pretty dang quick. You don't have much working time. But it's quite strong, and it'll stick to most stuff. It should stick just fine to with those threads. The only thing I got to be careful about is make sure I don't get it inside the mechanism that's moving. So I got that switch back in there. It's all good. Got that button back down. Still gotta deal with this little switch mechanism here. I'll deal with that later. But I went through the solenoid test, let it run, cycle through them, and like I think everything was working except for this shark one. And I was thinking, before I go through this and like, I'm gonna pull the board either way, but before let's see if the wires are connected. It's like, nope. That's probably why it's not working. It's got that insulator on there. So I'll solder that on there. I bet it's working after that. Let's clean all this junk out of here. And then I saw this here, sitting here. Oh, there's springy. I bet that's the knocker. Of course it is, right? Yeah. That's going to be the knocker. That coil looks good. Actually, yeah, that's where there's the holes where it mounts, looks like. Maybe. Maybe not. Absolutely. That's where it goes. So, and I've got this part here, 2 different springs. I'm not sure exactly how that goes, but I'll either figure it out or I'll look it up and figure it out. The coil test, just shot that ball out of there, so that's working. That one's a little noisy. That door open is, but maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. So as far as I know, everything on the playfield's working. So let's just not investigate any further. I'm gonna go through the rest of the boards in the back box. So I pulled this PPB board. It looks clean, and as far as I know, everything's working on it. I just wanted to do a little maintenance and look at the solder joints on the back of it. And see that one there on the left there. On the right a little bit less. Got a couple other of these. The one on the right, ones at the end get tweaked the most. These are bad. They're not horrible. They're probably, well, they are all working as far as I know. But even if they're working, like that one there, it's extra resistance. It means it's a loss of power from what it could be. So, you know, whatever that's running, it's not running it as well as it could. So I'm just going to reflow these real quick. It doesn't take very long. It takes longer to get the board, get it out of the game and back in the game. But the whole thing, yeah, it's like 10 minutes. And then, because if this thing fails, it's on location, I got to pull it out in a bar and it's dark. And yeah, it's just like, it's just so much easier to do it here. I didn't show you all this one. This was the first one I was going to solder, and it's like, geez, that one is almost completely free. If that one's working, it's just kind of through. I don't know how it's working exactly, just barely. Let's say that. So I've got everything soldered on this, resoldered on this board. Just the only thing that were fractured were all the header pins. Swapped out this cap, and I wasn't sure what it was, but I figured I'll swap it. Then after I was looking, I was 100 UF, 160 volts. I'm like, 160 volts. That's high voltage. So that's like for the display. I've already ordered a LED display for this game, so I'm not going to be using that voltage. So that was a waste of a cap and a waste of my time to swap it, but it's swapped. So anyway, I'm going to throw this in there and see what's next. So I was going to mess with the soundboard, and I was like, I didn't feel like to mess with it right now. So I may do that later. I don't know. I figured, just not really motivated right now, so I figured to do something kind of fun, which is play with the bulbs. I took out those 5 bulbs, and look at these things. I'm feeling better. That's what I want to see, because only one was working. Either I've got a serious problem with the lights, or they're all burnt, like all the GIs, and I think these are all dead. So these are blue lenses. So there's several different options. I mean, you put white ones, or you put blue ones, or you put ice blue. So I'm going to just start. I'm going to put ice blue and a blue. I really like the color of these Comet blue ones, but they're just not very bright. Given the fact that the lens is already blue, I think the ice blue might be a good choice. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera, but so that's blue, that's ice blue, and that's sunlight. So really, I kind of do like I like the richness of the blue, but it's not quite as bright as I would like. If you're playing this in a dark place all the time, that might be all right. But I'm going to try to get this playfield pretty bright with bright LEDs. So I'm going to go with ice blues, I believe, for all these blue inserts. So I think I got all the lights under the playfield done. I might have missed one, but I think I got them all. I think that's a flasher there. Need to check it. But there was 2 that are not working. There's a red one right there. And there's a red one right there. They're not working. I thought that one was locked on. Then I realized this one's locked on too. Then I realized those are on the GI circuit, so they're running all the time. I put some incandescents on the top because I hate the LEDs on the top with the white lens. I just can't stand it. Haven't done anything with flashers. I'm guessing the flashers are probably, at least most of them are probably not working based on the way all those, every single bulb was dead except for the one that was right there. So I'm going to figure out what's wrong with this one and this one. First thing I'm going to do is just swap the bulbs, because occasionally you'll get a bad LED. I don't know. They're close to each other. It's not like a whole row or a whole column, because if that was the case, I'd have like 8 missing. So it could be that those are on the same row or column. It's like the tail end or something. Could be a bad socket. Could be a bad bulb. I'm gonna start with the bulb. That one and this one both have good bulbs, and I just verified that this one's got voltage. So it's just a bad socket. So I'm gonna swap out this socket, and then I'm gonna swap out this socket, and I think we'll have all the LEDs going. All right, I've got them going now. So I think I've got all the lights, at least all on the bottom. There may be a couple controlled lights I haven't got to yet on the top, but I'm gonna deal with the rest of that stuff once I tear down the game. And I was looking down here, yeah, I saw this plate here, and I can see where the plunger is supposed to hit right there. So this is the setup. I am missing the little bracket that holds this up in there tight. So I'm gonna look through all my junk. I probably got something from an old game in the back, if nothing else. But I didn't. It's liable to still be in the machine somewhere. Maybe not. I grabbed a sleeve, put it in here, found one of the springs that was down in here. And so the only thing I'm missing is the little bracket that holds that coil up tight. So I'm gonna go in the back. So I've got one on the junk game. So I'm looking for the bracket that holds the coil in towards, well, I guess towards that side. But the key thing is that those two holes, the distance between those two holes is key. And I think the one that's on this pop bumper here is gonna work just fine. So I'm gonna steal one from that pop bumper right there. Well, this part has this little tab sticking up there, which doesn't really work. But I've got a grind wheel, so I'm gonna just grind that whole vertical piece there that my index finger's on and get rid of it. Well, in like 5 seconds I'll ground that back. That was actually not much fun. Didn't take too long, but not much fun. Well, I'm in the coil test. I don't have this mounted yet, but we're gonna see if it like kicks here in a second. In the next 20 or 30 seconds. It shouldn't take that long to go through all the coils. Some of them are clicking. They just click because it's running a flasher. Yep, it went. I saw it. That's good enough for me. I'm gonna bolt that sucker down. I had a little bit of time here, and I moved that switch there back over here where it's supposed to be. I wired up some of the lights were not wired up. I got the switches and the wires all going, and so they're all flashing. The switches are working when I press the buttons, so that's all good. This little piece here was in the back there. I'm not sure. I cannot for the life of me find the button. I don't know if anybody sells it. There's one square button, but I think it's that you can find online, but I think it's too small. I think I'm gonna have to get a round one, but I don't know if it's big enough diameter to go around here. You see how crudely they manufacture? They just drilled the holes and then used a saw to cut it, you know. That's the way they did it. But anyway, so I gotta find some kind of button to put in there. Either that or put another piece of wood over there and then cut a hole through it just to kind of mask that big hole. There are big buttons on like some of the Bally Williams, I think. They've got a big launch button. Like I'm thinking Monster Bash, it's got a really big button, but I don't know if it's quite big enough to cover that hole. So I'm gonna have to measure one of mine or see if I can find the diameter online. Got this medieval madness out here, so that might be big enough. I'm gonna see what the diameter is this and then go see if that's gonna work. Found this online. They call this a 2-inch button. From the outer bezel, it's like 2 3/8 of an inch. That hole is 2.5 from corner to corner, so not gonna work. So I can't find any pinball button anyway that's any bigger than 2 3/8. So I may have to get a piece of wood and glue it on here and then drill a hole through that and kind of set it on there. So it won't look horrible, but even the 2-inch one, so it's gonna have to be bigger than 2 1/4 or 2 3/8 so that it doesn't overlap the piece of wood. So it's gonna, I don't know. Either that or I could cut a round piece of wood so it just fits outside the button. I don't know. I may keep looking. This thing is nasty. all that nastiness. So that'll clean up pretty easy though. Anyway, I'll say that for another day. I found the button. Only one place I could find online that's got it. It's been out of stock for like 4 years. There's a 4-year-old thread on Pin Sign saying and nobody could find it. And this place here, they don't ship to the U.S. So even if I did, it'd be 30 euros, and I looked at it, it's like $20 shipping, and that's just to the EU. So to the U.S. it'd be crazy, and the tariffs on top of that, it'd be, you know. So I am going to get one of those round ones, and I'm going to have to do either fill in the holes on the little diagonals. It's just going to be like 1/8 of an inch. I may just fill those in, or kind of build a template to cover the hole, and then drill a smaller hole for the orange button to fit into. So I was wondering what these two boards are down here. I figured one of them was a flipper board. That's because that's what they are on the Data East, and this Sega and Data East are kind of the same setups. And I looked in the manual, and they're both flipper boards. So this has got 2 sets of flippers, so I guess they use 2 flipper boards. But they're late. They don't look the same. That's all I'm gonna say. They don't look like a Data East flipper board. But I'm gonna pull these boards and check them out. And just give them a once over real quick. I pulled this first board out. Looks pretty clean. Flipped it over, and somebody has swapped out all the transistors for one of the flippers. I guess that's the main one, and that's the pre one, and maybe that's the pre, but anyway, all 3 of those have been swapped out on that flipper. The header pins don't look, that third one looks a little dry. I see it was probably just never soldered. Oh, there's no trace there. Or if there's a trace on the other side. Third one is, nope, that's why it was never soldered very well. All right, well, they actually don't look too awful bad. Well, this one again, what's it look like? Yeah, not awful. See the telltale signs of it's like kind of thinking about wanting to crack. I'm gonna reflow them. Like, should I pull the other board? Maybe, maybe not. I guess I probably will. But I'm gonna reflow these, throw it back in, pull the other board, do the same. I almost didn't pull that second board back in there, but I'm glad I did, because the traces on this one, well, I thought they were worse. Maybe it's the other side that was worse. Thought I saw them were all busted up. I swear I saw some that were broken. I'll find them. Whatever it was I thought I was seeing, I guess it was just shadows. I didn't have my spectacles on yet, so I think I was just making it up. So last time I pulled this soundboard, it's the last board in the game I haven't messed with. And I was looking at all these caps, it's like, I don't really want to cap this thing. So I pulled up PinWiki, and they asked the question, should the soundboard recapped? In general, no. Good enough for me, I'm not gonna do it. This thing's working fine. Basically, they say they're kind of a pain to recap, can be kind of delicate, double-sided board, which is all the reasons why I didn't want to mess with it. And if PinWiki says no, I'm just going to agree. They must know what they're talking about. Actually, generally, PinWiki is a pretty good guide. The people that wrote that have a lot more combined experience than any single person, I would say. Since I had this out, I reflowed the header pins. For whatever reason, the header pins on soundboards are usually a lot better than the rest of the game. This was no exception. So it's going back in the game, and I am done with board work on this game. Well, I think I'm about going to finish up this video, but thought I'd show you a couple things. I was thinking about getting new ramps, but I did a little spot clean on this little corner here. I don't know how well you can see it. So there's where I didn't clean, there's where I did. And it's actually, the ramps are pretty decent. They're not yellowed. So I cleaned the top and the bottom, and it is amazing how much dirt came off that one little couple square inches. So I think the ramps are going to be all right without getting new ones. These habit trails, man, they're nasty. And if you look, they're kind of corroded, and there's also a little bit of rust, and there's also some green nasty stuff. This is probably the worst area right here, right close where you can really see it. So I polished this one little section here with some fine emery, and it looked at least as bad as, well, like that one right there. to start with. It had light rust and some green specks. Pretty much got off all that. It did take off some of the copper color, some of the plating, so it's more silvery looking. It's still a little coppery looking, but not as much as it was. Might do better putting this in the ultrasonic, but I can't when it's in the game. So I'm also considering maybe getting these powder coated. You can get them powder coated in like a copper color like this. So I might do that. I'd rather not because of the cost so much, but because of the time, because that means I've got to take these off, and the guy next door does them. He does them real cheap for me, but it's usually like, it's at least a couple weeks, usually more like a month. And when I tear this game down, I'm going to want to put it back together pronto before all the pieces go wandering around, you know, and you just forget how everything goes. I mean, I take a million pictures, but this one's going to be, there's lots of layers. So it's not just about knowing where it goes, it's getting the right order of where, you know, you got all these ramps, they're all stacked in a pile. Well, which one goes over here? Then you figure out, well, this one's got to go, and this one's got to be linked into that, and this one's got to go on first, and then, you know, there's a lot of layers, and they've got to go on in order. Like before you can take this got to come off before you can get to that, and you know, this has probably got to come off. But it's kind of a, you know, some of these games, they get the order of operations is kind of a pain. Taking it apart is kind of obvious because you have to get something out of the way before you put it on. But when you put it back, you can put something in too early, and then you got to take it off and put it back. It's pain. So the faster you could put it back together after taking it apart, better off you are. That's for sure. So I like to do that within the same day or the next day if possible. I don't always do it. A lot of times I don't. But that's what I'm gonna want to do. The flipper mechs are a shot. I mean, I pulled all the parts. Mostly what I'm gonna need there. I'm good. Well, bats too. I didn't pull the bats out, but I'm gonna have to get some bats. But anyway, I haven't decided what kind of posts. I'll probably go back. I guess this one probably came with red posts, but maybe not. I mean, this game's been torn apart before. There's a lot of screws that are like those are missing, so it's probably been apart before. So those may not be the right color. I don't know what cover rubbers I'm going to use. It's got black on there now, but you know, I don't know. White might look pretty nice on this. Probably look better than black. It really doesn't have much of a black theme. Doing a ball search. But anyway, I think I've gone through all the systems, and as far as I know, everything works. There might be a switch or two that don't work. There might be a solenoid that doesn't work, but I think they're all working. And I think all the lamps are working. There's a couple of controlled lamps that I haven't swapped out. Like that one's probably a controlled lamp on that pop bumper there. There's probably a couple of lamps inside those pop bumpers. I'm not messing with that until I tear down the game. And the one GI that I changed on the playfield, that one works. There are probably a couple of different circuits for the GI. There's a couple sets of wires, so I could still have a GI problem, but probably not. So anyway, I'm gonna say goodbye on this one, and I'll do another video on this tear down and rebuild on this one. So thanks for watching, and share with your friends, and I'll see you later. Adios.